Hey, hey, team. This is Barbara from Ship to Shore. Okay, so I think all things happen for a reason. We had a little bit of a difficult webinar this morning because I am on a ship. As you can see, I'm in a conference room. We have beautiful Park West behind us, getting ready for an art auction. So we had some Wi-Fi trouble. So I just want to take the time and really anybody who couldn't join, record the webinar. And then those of you who was choppy this morning, just get a chance to listen. So what we're talking about is unleashing your potential. Are you ready to unleash your potential? This is the big question, right? Overcoming your fears when it comes to job searching. So let's first start off by acknowledging that messy closet that is in your house, or that drawer that you all have, and you just keep on shoving stuff in it and shutting the door. I like to think of our fears like that. Okay. That messy closet, you just keep on going, oh, I'll get to it. Oh, I'll get to it. Now is the time, my friend. Okay. Stop putting stuff in the closet. Start unpacking the stuff that is there. And you're going to really see that fear is clever. It's creative. It's trying to trick you all of the time. But as you get into this job search, you're going to see that those doors are going to start to fling open, and you're going to start having conversations in your head that you're going, oh my gosh, I didn't know that was in there. So in this quick little recap is we're going to tackle some of the strategies that I use and that I've used in my businesses, that I've used in my personal life to have success to overcome fears. So first and foremost, most people don't want to do this work is understanding your fears. Is start with, before anything, identifying, hey, in a job search, what are the fears that could come up and where are those fears coming from? So some of the most common ones are fears about rejection, are fears about limiting your beliefs. I did this work with Tony Robbins. My husband did this work with Tony Robbins where he calls it your limiting belief. So I had this limiting belief that I wasn't smart, so not intelligent. And this all came from school, is that I had a really hard time in school. I had to study 3 or 4 times harder than anybody else. And I would still get like a C. I would get barely passing on my tests. And it was so frustrating that I just thought, I'm not smart. And so I began to take those limiting beliefs into real life. And it became to be this little voice in the back of my head. So it's really, really critically important that you start going, hey, I know that you're out there, but I'm not going to listen to you. So the next point that I have is about identifying your common fears. Is don't have any shame around it. Do not let that shame, that embarrassment come into the picture. Every single person has fears. And their fears may come out as anger. Their fears may come out as a bad attitude. Their fears may come out as suffering or abandonment, for sure, or guilt. You guys for sure have felt this from a parent at some point in time, is that I have this concept that you can only live in 2 places. You can live in pure love in life, or you can live in fear. And fear manifests in a lot of these things when somebody guilts you about something, when somebody's angry at you. As you start unpacking it, if you're angry at your spouse, you're not angry at them because of the situation that happens. It's really just a fear that's wrapped up in the anger. So being able to identify that as you're going into this job seeking process, you're going to face rejection and there's fear. You're going to face failure. You're going to face the unknown. You're going to face fear of making the wrong decision. And identifying those fears and understanding them are going to help you determine what are your strategies so that they can't be present in your job search and they can't identify who you are as a person. So really ensuring, I would encourage each and every one of you to take time. Take maybe 30 minutes in silence. Get a coffee, get a notebook, and just write at the top of the page, what am I afraid of? Really, truly, what am I afraid of? And I'm afraid that I can't provide for my family. That's a big fear. But when you start digging into that fear, what is it? It's not just not being able to provide for my family. And I faced this as I left my corporate job and I went into the business and starting this new business. I've created a resiliency and a muscle where I don't allow myself to spend much time in that fear place. But if I dig into it, go, hey, I'm afraid of providing for my family. But what does that actually mean? I'm afraid of failure. I'm afraid I'm not enough. I'm afraid I'm not smart. I'm afraid I don't have what it takes. It's not just about my family. It's so much deeper than that. And then I really believe that your strategy is asking this really, really big question. Is that fear true? Is it true? It's a really important question to ask yourself, is go, Barbara, are you really not smart? Are you not smart? Are you not intelligent? And when I start digging into it, I go, no, that's not a true story. I'm freaking smart. I did this. I did this. I did this in my life. I've learned accounting. I've learned finance. I've learned how to build websites. I've learned code. And so every time these little things start creeping into your mindset, going, is this true? Is this story that I'm telling myself? Is me getting onto this train and going down the tracks saying that I'm not enough, or I can't provide, or I'm a rejection? Is that true? No, most of the time it's not. And so really going in and asking those questions and building confidence by poking holes in it and preparing for whatever those next fears that are going to come your way, knowing how to react to them and being able to shorten that period that you allow yourself to get onto the train. I always use the analogy of the train. Somebody gave it to me years and years ago. I said, you have to think of your mind as a train station, and you're standing on the podium or the platform, and you have trains that go through your mind every single day. And these trains are saying, you're going to be a success and you're going to rocket to the moon. Ooh, that's a good train. I'm going to get on that one. Then you have this another one that comes into your mind that says, hey, you're not smart enough. There's no way you can get that job. And I get to choose to get onto that train. Well, I think mine would be, you're not smart enough. And then I go, and you begin to see this picture show of what your future looks like if you believe that. And a lot of people spend a lot of time, think about illness. A lot of people get on that train of sickness and illness, and they literally get themselves sick because they spend so much time on that train. So being able to stand on the platform and make a conscious decision on what train you're going to get on is so, so, so important. This transitions us perfectly into the role of your mindset. Many, many people underestimate the power of your mindset. They think this is woo-woo talk. They think this is new age. It's not true. Your mindset can have a big, big impact on your success in your job search. There's a really great book. It's called Mindset. That's literally the title. I'll see if I can provide a link to you guys for it. So this researcher, she proved that people have two different types of mindsets, and it's ingrained into you. And it can be from children. They start seeing it in like the elementary school level, but a lot of it also comes from your parents and the conversations that were had with you. And one is called a fixed mindset and one is called a growth mindset. I'm talking about the growth mindset, but the one that's a fixed mindset is really someone that believes that it is what it is. I am who I am. I'm not going to get better than this. And then they begin to have this hurtful talk towards themselves. So they go, oh, this is the potential, so I got to settle, and so I got to be this. And they really don't believe that people can get better. And so they just settle and end up where they are. Then you have this growth mindset. And I definitely have developed a growth mindset, is that I believe that the sky's the limit. I remember going to an entrepreneur course in an Ivy League school in 2018, I want to say it is. I got a scholarship and I sat in this accounting course and I felt so dumb because I had no idea what this professor was saying. He was a master's professor that gave accounting to MBA students. And I sat there and I just was like, this is so hard. But I had the opportunity to go into a fixed mindset and say, Barbara, you're not smart. You're never going to get this. But I immediately went into a growth mindset. I said, Barbara, you need to enroll in an accounting course. You need to figure this stuff out. If you're going to be a business owner, you have to know accounting inside and out. You have to understand cash flow. You have to understand assets, liabilities. You need to be able to run these numbers in your head. And so I started on this journey to teach myself. But if we stay in that fixed mindset, we just settle. And that's a frustrating place to be in. And as you go into your job search, it's really, really important that you cultivate your growth mindset and you start believing that your abilities and your skills can be developed and changed over time. Having your talk track so tight and so wrapped up that you know that you cannot fail. You know that a rejection from a job or not getting something or not getting a promotion is not a reflection on who you are. It's an opportunity for you to get better and stronger. So be very, very careful about what you listen to, what you feed your mind, who you spend your time with, because your willingness to approach challenges and to be surrounded by people that approach challenges with a growth mindset is going to change your willingness to learn, and is going to change the opportunities that life gives you. So the next one is the power of networking. Networking can be a really, really great way to overcome your fears in a job search. So by connecting to others that are within your field, so let's say you were in administration on board, or you were in sales on board, finding a network within your local town, finding an online community from LinkedIn to Facebook to an association. I am in so many communities in the entrepreneur world because I want to be surrounded by people that are feeding me information. I'm part of Women's Presidents Organization, Enterprising Women, a local chapter of WPO. There's another one that I found that's in South Florida. That's an entrepreneur one. I get those newsletters. I read that. I look at what they're learning. Whenever there's a free webinar, I'm attending it. It doesn't matter if it's about bank financing to leadership. I have the time available on my calendar, I'm listening to that stuff, or I'm listening to the recording of it. So by connecting to others in your field, you can gain really valuable insights and advice for free. And that can build your confidence. It can help you say, hey, the skills that I have are really, really transferable. Or you can ask for people for their time and their mentoring and say, hey, would you mind giving me 15 minutes? Do you know how many executives I've spoken to from the cruise industry just because they were generous with their time? And I said, hey, I have this new business. Would you be willing to give me 15 minutes? They say yes, because they want to help. People have this heart and this spirit of generosity that they want to be able to give back. And you doing the same by giving back to somebody, be it a college student, be it whatever it may be, is going to fuel that fire. So you're going to start asking for help, and you're going to start giving help. And this is naturally going to expand your opportunities. And again, be really, really careful about who you connect to, and make sure that your mindset is aligned with them. Overcoming setbacks. So setbacks is going to be really, really normal part of the job search process. And it can be really, really challenging when you're dealing with fear and uncertainty. So it's important that you know that setbacks are going to come. And like getting on the train, that when you have a setback, the setback is not a definition of who you are. So say you don't get the second interview, or say you don't get the job, being able to say, all right, I have a growth mindset. I'm going to learn from this experience. That was really great. Hey, I got the interview. Kudos, Barbara, you got the interview. Instead of going to the fixed mindset going, I'm a failure, or blaming the person. So having strategies that are in place and practicing compassion and going like, hey, that hurt, that stinks. Seeking support from others. Say, hey, could you give me feedback? This is how I approached it. What would you have done different or better? And just be really, really conscious of not leaning on the cheap and easy stuff that feel good temporarily. So blame, excuse, going, oh, this person didn't know how to interview, or oh, that job was a waste of time anyways. That stuff is cheap. Don't go into that world. Just go, thank you for that learning. Thank you for that opportunity. That was a great chance for me to interview again. That was a great chance for me to connect to somebody. That was a great chance for me to, hone in on my LinkedIn skills, and having faith that the next thing is coming. And then this is a really great segue, celebrating the small wins. So celebrating your small wins is a very, very important practice for achieving long-term success in any area of your life, including job search. So small wins are little accomplishments, little milestones, things that you reach along the way as you're headed towards your bigger goal. So say that your big goal is finding a position that offers me X in compensation, that allows me to work from home, that uses my cruise experience. That's kind of your big goal, is that every time you make one tiny micro step, it may, as you have this big prize hanging above, celebrating every single thing that gets you closer to it. So in Ship to Shore, when I had a really big meeting with an executive, I went out, I bought 2 bottles of champagne, and one of those bottles was the fact that we got the meeting, which was like massive, this meeting. And then the second bottle of champagne is still sitting in my wine cabinet and is for when we signed the contract. So these micro things, being able to celebrate, being able to accomplish, and being able to look at that second bottle of champagne and talk to it and go, hey, I'm coming for you. I'm on my way. Do those little teeny tiny things that allow you to celebrate. And I think that acknowledges your progress. It boosts your confidence. It motivates you, and it gives you momentum. Back to the book, The Big Leap, is that as you start getting forward momentum, you're going, yep, I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep going. I have this amazing group of women that we're just like the momentum mujeres, women, is that when one person does something, gets an award, we're all like, yes, no, go, go. And that's inspiration for you to apply for the award. And when that person applies for the award, everybody's rallying behind the other woman to get to the next level. So I think creating that network, creating that community where that's a natural part of your dialogue, it stays you focused on the positive aspects of your journey. And even those little small steps can have really, really big results. So do something like buying that bottle of champagne, enjoy a meal, enjoy an activity, take a walk, take a moment to reflect, just sit and journal. That doesn't cost you any money. And, you know, I have a friend that has this really phenomenal story that, anytime we always use the phrase now, go catch the lobster, because her husband, he would go lobster fishing. And every time he went lobster fishing, he never caught the lobster, because lobster are like, they hide in little caves. And so they run really quickly. And so he would go over and over and he wasn't ever catching lobster. And then one day he just went, he said, you know what? Today's the day. I'm going to get the lobster. Sure enough, jumps in the water, first try, gets a lobster. So now in their life and in their marriage, they use that phrase with each other and they go, honey, go get the lobster. Go out there, get the lobster. And then their celebration is that when they get the lobster, they go out to a lobster dinner, lobster and champagne dinner. And I just think that's a really cool story. Maybe it's not lobster, but just having this catchphrase or having this celebration that happens. It could be going out for ice cream. It could be, you know, just celebrating in some really simple, insignificant way, but that does make a really big difference in your mindset. And then last but not least is resources. These tools and these people are things that I use on a daily basis. And I'm only putting 6 here on the screen, but I probably have 20 and I'll start peppering them in. And please, I would invite you all to share what yours are. Look at your diet. Look at what you're consuming on a daily basis. Who are you talking to? What do your conversations look like? Are these people building you up? Is this content making you stronger? Are you mindlessly scrolling? Are you letting your brain go into this world that you're watching what somebody else is doing and the success that they've had and criticizing yourself? These people, Ed Milet, Mel Robbins, Jesse Itzler, Jay Shetty, Lewis Howe, and the last one, his name is Tom Bilyeu. I'll send the links in what we send out. These people interview the best of the best, and they all have YouTube channels with the exception of Jesse. I don't think Jesse does, but Jesse does a couple free courses online. Mel does some free courses online. Go sign up for these courses. They're free for the most part. Maybe if it fits for you or not, some of them have paid courses. You can buy the paid courses. But there's so much free content that's out there on YouTube and podcasts that start with these simple ones. And then once, you know, Tom Bilyeu interviews these amazing people, once he interviews somebody great, then I start following that other person, start listening to them. I can't remember who I found Joe Dispenza through, or if it was a friend of mine, but Dr. Joe Dispenza was another one that Joe doesn't have a lot of content online, but he has a lot of interviews with people like these. So just look at your resources, look at the circle that you're surrounding yourself, look at the content that you're consuming. Again, I think it was Ed Milet said in one of his recent podcasts, he said, if you want, I think it was in his interview with the author of Atomic Habits, is that he said, if you want me to tell you what your life is like, show me your agenda. And people that take the time and have the intentionality of planning out their day and planning out what their future is going to look like from tomorrow to next month to next year, those are the people that have designed their life. Those who are leaving it up to the wind and just saying, oh, let's see what happens, they're surprised by the results. So use these people as your models of success, as your models of, hey, these people are doing something that can teach me. And even if you only take 10% of what they're teaching, it will allow you to move forward at a pace that you will not be able to believe. Just have faith in me. Do it for 30 days, do it for 3 months, do it for the short period of time, curate what you are consuming, and you're going to see a massive difference. So last but not least, thank you for engaging with us. Follow us, support us, grow with us. We are creating a community of former crew. It's not just about finding employment for former crew, but it's also making sure that you guys know that you're seen, that you're heard, that your experience is valued. And whether we find you a job tomorrow or in 2 years, excuse me, in 2 years, we're walking with you in this journey in the long term. And refer us to other people. If you know somebody that's walking alone in a journey, have them attend one of our webinars. We're doing them every Wednesday morning at 9 a.m. If you have content you want us to cover, please shout it out to us. But just thank you. Thank you for taking the time, investing in yourself, and for listening. So please share this. And I hope you guys have an amazing week, and talk to you next week. Woohoo! Apologies for the technical difficulties today, but hey, these are tiny little things. These are little failures, little setbacks that I don't let define who we are. And I encourage you guys to have the same perspective in your life. Thank you for everything. And we'll be in touch.